want to demonstrate how to combine different types of media to create a mixed media drawing. And what we have here before we begin is just some torn masking tape, which is placed on the surface of the paper. What I'm going to do now is to work over the top of this sheet, and then we're going to take them off. So the first technique I want to use here is coffee. Just working again onto the surface. Now the drips that this creates are quite interesting visually to look at. So we're just going to allow that to dry before I move on to my second material in a moment. Now if you want to speed up the process, you can use a drying tool or a hairdryer just to speed up the process of the drying, and then you can work a little bit quicker if you want to. So that's coffee on top of cartridge paper with torn masking tape. I'm just going to allow that to dry. Right, now the next technique I'm going to use on top of this is some Quink black ink. I'm just going to look at the initial image. I'm just going to see how this helps me create marks. Just looking at the spaces or the marks that are being created here. Maybe trying to do something different. I'm using a flat chisel brush. This drawing has quite a lot of structure to it. That's Quink ink, Parker ink on top of coffee with masking tape, which is torn edges, which we're going to take away as the drawing dries. Now, the next stage of this, some of the interesting things that happen, by the way, if it's still wet, are the bleeding between the different types of media and the spaces that are created and the contrast between the dark and the light. And also, if you do take things away, there will be further contrast as we develop a drawing. So I'm going to work with some dry materials over the top of this. I'm going to allow it to dry just a little bit more before. Okay, now the next stage is to remove the masking tape. Now, I don't want to do this at the very end because I'm going to be working in with dry materials. So just holding your paper, lifting it off the surface. Use your nail just to prise it open if you need to. Tear the edges, that's fine. You want to leave some of them on, that's also a possibility. These areas here are quite interesting to look at. So the sort of torn edges, the irregular edges that are created are quite interesting to look at as well. I'm going to leave this because I quite like the combination of coffee and the variations in the surface that are created. Same here and here. So I'm going to progress now onto working very vigorously and quickly with a Sharpie and drawing expressively over the top. Really relaxed movement with the arms here, speeding up the process, drawing. Using your whole arm just to see what type of marks you can create. Sharpie pen, so creating speed here. Also graphite. Get hold of it. So in here you may need to hold on. Not as apparent, but it can create some quite subtle background marks. It just enhances the surface as you work. And working very dynamically, very quickly into the surface of your drawing. This is a very experimental way to work. You're just seeing what type of marks that can be created by chance in the process of drawing. You still need more contrast in this drawing. I'm going to show you how to achieve that in just a moment. Now, if you're interested in developing your expressive drawing skills, just check out some of my other videos in the description below, where there's lots of different types of drawing techniques that you can look at just to develop your skills and maybe become a little bit more expressive and experimental in your approach to your drawing and your artwork. So this is an intuitive approach. Finish with that one. Again, I'm going to use some Tipp-Ex now. Add a bit of contrast over the top. Now you can draw with this, you can be quite deliberate with it. Just in sort of informing yourself with the marks that have already been created in the drawing if you want to. And again, you can speed up the process here. You could use acrylic paint, white paint. I find this it's good for control. Okay, let's leave that alone now. And broad marker, board marker that teachers use. Okay, it's going to introduce different types of marks over the top. You can look at what you've already created, work around it, or just look at the negative spaces if you want to leave things. Add a bit more structure if you want to. I'm just working very intuitively at the moment, just creating a sort of textural surface, sort of web of different materials and techniques onto the surface, just to see what can be created here. Just keep going until you feel that you've got it right. You may need to keep working, you can stop. Just work intuitively over the surface of your page. almost like a Jackson Pollock effect, this. The abstract expressionist, the famous abstract painter, who used the accident in his work, but worked obviously on a much larger scale and placed his work on the floor. I'm working vertically here in a very relaxed way. So this is a combination of different materials: coffee, ink, eraser materials, pen, graphite, combined, taking things away, putting things back on top, just to seeing the variety of marks that can be created. So that's intuitive mixed medium mark making.